At the Helm is brought to you by Boat Better boating starts here.
Welcome back to the social place for boaters, The Drift. And now we are back at the helm with our friends from Boat. Now, contributing editor Lenny Rudo explains what those buoys and channel markers really mean. And it's not just useful, it's crucial.
We're out here on a gorgeous day, and I'm looking around and I see buoys everywhere. And what do all these different buoys mean? The different shapes, sizes, and colors. Maybe once upon a time you knew, maybe you just don't know. Let's go through a little refresher on what all those buoys mean. First off, let's point out that there are 1,000,001 different buoys out there, all kinds of buoys marking things like underwater cables, shoals, wrecks, speed limits. I mean, you name it, there's a buoy for it. Obviously, we're not going to get through all of those today. We're just going to cover the basics that you're most likely to see on a common basis. There are even special buoys for different waterways, the inland waterways, the Mississippi. They have their own buoys there. The Intercoastal has its own buoys. You need to study up on these if you're going to visit these areas. You can do so at uscgboating.org. Just look for the PDF that shows you all the different buoys, all the different types, shapes, and sizes. First, let's talk a little bit about those markers. They're also called fixed markers or beacons. The reds are triangular and have even numbers on them. The greens are square and have odd numbers on them. Now, these mark channels, and you may have heard the old saying, red, right, returning. That's because whenever you're headed inland, you want to keep the red off the starboard side of the boat and the green off the port side, thus red, right, returning. You might notice, folks, this one has a light on top. Some of these fixed markers are lighted, but some are not. Generally speaking, buoys are used where it's too deep to put a fixed marker or where channels shift. Channels do shift and change, and in that case, you need something that's floating that you can move. Now, in the big, deep shipping channels, you'll see very large buoys. Inside, on smaller channels, you'll see smaller buoys. The small cylindrical green ones are called cans. Red ones come to a point at the top. Those are called nun buoys. Okay, now you want to hear something really funny, people? Sometimes you're going to see buoys with both colors. Now, if you see red and green horizontal bands, that means you're at the junction of two channels. If you see red and green vertical bands, that means there's navigable water on all sides. Another one you'll see out there are yellow buoys. Now, yellow buoys fall into that category we were talking about earlier. They can indicate all kinds of stuff. To figure out what a yellow buoy is, you really need to refer to your chart. One you definitely want to keep your eyes peeled for is black and white stripes. When you see a buoy with black and white stripes, that means there's an obstruction running from that buoy in towards shore. So make sure you go all the way around it. Now, what's this plain old white buoy with blue lettering on it? That's a mooring buoy. You don't have to worry about those, but whenever you see a mooring buoy, you should be aware that you're probably in a slow speed zone. Often they'll be white with a blue stripe around them too. What about these white cylindrical guys with the orange bands? You're going to see a lot of those. They indicate many different things, often slow speed zones or speed limits. And when you get up close to them, you can read what they say. They're always marked as to just what they indicate. This one says, caution, you're always responsible for your wake, because we're in an enclosed creek with a lot of marinas around it. Whew, okay, we made it through the basics. But truth be told, folks, hey, it can be confusing out there. There's a lot to gaining a full comprehension on what all those different nav aids are. So don't forget, go to the Coast Guard's website, look for the U.S. Aids to Navigation PDF. It's a great explanation, and they made it just for you, so check it out.
And as always, these helpful tips will keep you boating better. And better boating starts at boatus.com. Visit them for more helpful boating tips.
Boat has been looking after the interests of recreational boaters for over 55 years. Our goal? To make boating better, safer, and worry-free. From coast to coast and over 600 towboats strong, the Towboat US fleet is the nation's largest. So when you need help on the water, you're not alone. For a day of worry-free boating, take us with you by downloading the Boat US app to get a tow or check weather and tides. Better boating starts here. Join today.